What is happening, people? It is Brian Alsruhe, NEVERsate.com, and today we're going to talk about how to be less of a miserable jerk. Still definitely learning this one. So after my surgery, when I was talking to you guys about different videos that I'd like to make, I talked about you guys sending me some Q&A questions that had a little more in-depth type of thing. Now, I'm not looking for someone to write me, hey, I'm a 19-year-old kid getting ready for a powerlifting meet in the 13th of March. It's nothing that specific. I'm not looking for questions that are super specific to an individual because that is not going to help a lot of people. But if you do have a question that's kind of more broad that I can kind of riff on, kind of like this one, then please leave it in the comment section down below so I can get to it and I can put more of these videos up because they're pretty easy for me to make. But today, we're going to be talking about how I always stay positive. That was one of the most overwhelming questions that I always get is how are you always so positive? Now, I do think it's very important to note that this is not something that is innate in me. I am not naturally a happily bubbly person. I am not a people person. I don't enjoy being around people. If I had my choice, I would literally live alone in the middle of the woods with like a dog, my wife, and a knife for carving wood. And yes, I realize that that sounds like Coldplay's song, but thank you, Joe Rogan, for the joke. Seeing the positive parts of any situation is something that I have to work on every single day. It is not something that is innate. It is not something that comes naturally to me. And I'm talking about real, genuine positivity. I'm not talking about false motivation or what a lot of people do where they just kind of put on a happy face even though they're not happy inside. I am genuinely happy inside 99% of the time. What you guys see is not an act. This is who I am all the time. When you guys meet me in person, I am a little bit more quiet because I allow other people to speak. I like to hear about other people's side of the conversation more so than I like to talk, unlike with this camera because he never has a whole lot to say, so it just ends up me talking to the camera a lot, usually like an idiot. But every once in a while, an idiot has something good to say. So anytime that I do find myself not being positive, one of three things is going on. Number one, my life is just simply too easy. A very easy life may be the least happy life ever. Number two, I had absolutely no frame of reference for what I was going through, so it seems bigger than it actually is, or it seems worse than it actually is. But if I had a bigger frame of reference, then I realize that this is just a bump in the road and it's something I have to get through. But whenever I start going through something for the first time, it seems very overwhelming and very scary and very hard. And a lot of times that will cause some sort of depression or not as much positivity inside of me. And the third way that I definitely lose some positivity in my life is when I'm treating myself like a victim. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, there are absolutely no victims in this life unless you choose to be, but every once in a while, every single one of us at some point starts looking at themselves like a victim. And whenever I do, man, my positivity just starts plummeting. I start seeing nothing but negative in my life. And then typically my life starts going worse for me because I'm not being positive. So my entire plan for this video is to kind of go more into depth on these three things and give you guys different ways to physically, mentally, emotionally practice these good habits in your life so that you will become a happier, more productive, more influential individual and keep the negative people out of your life. But let's get after it, guys. There's nothing else to talk about. I'm just gonna go into these things now. All right, so the very first thing, when I get unhappy, it is because my life is going a little too easily. My life has too many easy things going on in it. I know this sounds completely opposite to what many people believe because a lot of people think once I have all the things that I want and all of the people that I want in my life and I'm able to accomplish all the things that I want in my life, then I'll be happy. But there's absolutely nothing less true in the entire world. That's why you see so many celebrities with all the money, all the fame, all the power, all of the whatever it is in this world that you want, they have it and they still end up killing themselves or facing depression or becoming drug addicts or whatever the case may be. And it's simply because their lives are a little bit too easy. Purpose and discipline are keys to being happy in life. You can trust me on that. But basically when things are going a little bit too smoothly, I stop earning it every single day. I get kind of content. As you guys know, my gym, my business, my entire part of what I'm trying to do with this movement is called NEVERsate, as in never satiated, never satisfied, never content. And that's not always a good thing. You need to be happy with where you are, but you can never just give it up. You can never stop saying, I am done learning, I'm done growing, I'm done becoming a better version of myself. The process never ends, guys. It's always part of cleaning away things that do not matter anymore and gaining things that do matter and just trying to clean up that entire process throughout your life. And the only way to make sure that you're doing this is by earning it every single day. You guys remember that movie Saving Private Ryan? At the end, when Tom Hanks is dying, all that he says is earn it. earn this. You need to earn it every single day. The day that you start waking up and you stop thinking, I need to prove myself. I need to earn the legs that I've been given today. I need to earn the lungs that I've been given. I need to earn the opportunities that I've been given and take the most advantage of them. That is how you will truly be happy. If you start looking at things going, yeah, I have legs, but they're not as strong as I could be. Yeah, that sounds really, really good and really, really logical until you don't have legs. And that can happen today. Trust me, I work with adaptive athletes all the time who've lost body parts, and trust me, they are some of the happiest, most driven people in the world, and it is because of what they have faced, what they have gone through. It's because their lives are hard. Every single day is hard. So they have purpose and they have discipline, and those types of things start driving them forward and make their life have some sort of bigger picture aspect to it, as opposed to just looking at it going, oh, well, my legs aren't as cool as they think I should be, so I'm not going to be happy about it today. That is such a terrible way of looking at things, and honestly, it's because your legs work every single day, and they have for the last 20 years or however old you are. Because they've worked every single day, you start taking them for granted and you start saying, well, my legs are always gonna be there. Until they're not, and then the loss of your legs can be a completely earth-shattering, suicidal thing that goes on. All the people that I know that have lost body parts and have went through absolutely horrendous things in their lives beforehand were all people who did not take things for granted, and they worked hard and they were pushing towards goals and they were trying to do amazing things with their lives. And then this happened, and all that it was simply a different path for them. Now there was a Y in the road, and now they took this path instead of the path that they thought they were going to take, but they never, ever for 1 second decided that this wasn't for them anymore. They chose to pony up, become men, become warriors, get over all of the things that the world was throwing at them, and they decided to be happy and get after it anyway. We live in a time where literally every single question that you've ever had is at your fingertips. You can go to multiple faucets throughout your house and get clean drinking water. Do you know how few people in the world actually have that? Do you know how many people need to go outside to go to the bathroom and they do it in a hole? Or they do not have enough food to eat, or Christmas coming up. Can you imagine being a parent saying, I don't have enough money to buy presents for my children? All these things are for real and they're happening right now. And most likely, if you're watching this video, they are not happening to you. So if you are spending your time worrying about all those things, thinking about how terrible your life is, you need to be a little bit of perspective and realize that maybe your life is a little bit too easy. Maybe you need to make it a little bit more challenging, create a little bit more purpose, and then you can find some happiness in it. Because right now, as it stands, when I can go to 7 different faucets in my house, get clean water, have all the food that I want access to, do whatever in the heck that I want with my life, that is a pretty amazing thing. And the second that you start forgetting about it, you're gonna innately start turning negative. But if you never let that become a normal, regular thing in your life, and you start realizing that every single time that you get up to drink a glass of water or eat that food, or you're in a warm house, or you're watching the internet, or you pick up your phone, all those things are gifts. And without those things, your life will be drastically different. It could be better, it could be worse, who knows? But all I'm saying is you've been giving a lot in your life, and if you keep focusing on things that you don't have instead of things that you do have, you will always be miserable. And when you really start breaking it down, there's 2 things in this world that you can actually control. Number 1 is your attitude. Number 2 is your effort. Everything else can kind of go a lot of different ways and literally turn on a dime, and you can lose all of that in a moment. You do not have control over it. Stop pretending that you do. That is only going to make you more unhappy. However, once you start realizing that the things that actually happen in your life have very little to do over the control of your emotions and your effort, then you're allowed to freely move without that type of worry about something horrible happening over top of you. Horrible things are going to happen in your life. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just telling you an honest thing that is really, really going to happen. Who knows? Tonight you could go home and your entire world could be shattered, but you have a choice. You have a choice of your attitude and you have a choice of your effort, and you are 100% in control of both of them. And if each and every single day you start taking more control over those things, someone cuts you off in traffic, you do not need to scream like an idiot and flip somebody off. That's probably not going to make your day or their day better. You can control your attitude. You say, you know what, maybe they're having a really bad day and we're in a hurry because they're driving their daughter because she's having a baby and they cut me off. Maybe that's the case. You don't know what other people are going through, and you're able to control your attitude about bad things that happen to you throughout the day. They won't bring you quite as far down. And then number 2 is going to be your effort. I talked about this in previous videos. It doesn't matter what you do, whether it's lifting, washing the dishes, going to your work, making videos, whatever it is, if you're doing it to the best of your ability, you are going to enjoy it more. Putting full effort into things actually makes them rewarding. Putting half But effort into things typically makes them not very enjoyable at all because you don't enjoy what you came up with at the end, your end result, and you also didn't enjoy the process. So guys, control your attitude, control your effort, make your life a little bit more challenging, throw some goals out there every single day. I have goals, I write a list, I'm a list person, right? So I have a list with a couple main goals of the day, and then I have a roadmap of little smaller things that I need to accomplish in order to make those bigger goals actually happen. That's exactly what I do in quarterly for my goals of the year. For my bigger goals throughout the year, this exact same thing that I do. I set a goal and then I have a roadmap, and I do that every single day. So every single day I wake up and I have things to accomplish that day, and every single one that I accomplish and I get to cross off, I feel like I did something good. I feel like I accomplished an act, I accomplished a feat, I moved forward, I bettered my situation somehow, and then each day I can look at that and say, you know what, you did some good things today, rather than I guess I just kind of was treading water for the entirety of the day and that didn't really work out well. Find some things that are going to challenge you, start implementing them, and then control your attitude and your effort throughout the entire day. You will be happier. That is a guarantee. The second point that I mentioned is that sometimes I get a little bit sad because I don't have a frame of reference for what I'm actually going through. So let's take my shoulder as an example in this. Shoulder surgery hurts. There is no doubt about it. If you have had shoulder surgery, that was a lot of mess ups. I'm going to try that one again. If you have had shoulder surgery, If you have had shoulder surgery before, you will know it is a very, very painful thing. But when I broke my back and my leg was paralyzed for about 6 months, that was a lot more painful. So I had a frame of reference. Yes, my shoulder hurts. There's no doubt my shoulder hurts. But comparatively to a broken back where my leg was paralyzed and I would literally have full body spasms of my back where it would literally fold me in half. My wife would be laying on my back trying to rub out some of the muscles, and my back would spasm and literally throw her off of me. That's how intense those problems were. So comparatively to that, my shoulder feels pretty good. I will take this every single day of the week, all day long. But if this was my very first surgery and I'd never been through that type of pain before, then this would probably be crippling. I'd be thinking that my life was over. I'd think that I'd never come back from it. All those types of things. But you need frames of reference. This is where TV, internet, and video games start to become a problem. I have nothing against TV, video games, or the internet. However, if you're spending too much time on them and you're not actually out in the real world making real mistakes and learning real things and going on your own adventures, and you're just living vicariously through little characters on a screen, then you're going to run into a lot of problems when real things actually start happening in your life, because then you're not going to have those frames of reference. This is one of the reasons why in my gym we have mindset challenges all of the time. It's because if you get through one of the mindset challenges, it is extremely, extremely hard to get through. And there's 10,000 times throughout that process where you start saying, there is no way I'm getting through this. I'm just going to go one step at a time, 1 second at a time, 1 minute at a time, one breath at a time. You do whatever I know how to do so that by the end, you are standing and you feel accomplished. You got through it and you can say, I never thought that I would have made it through that, but I did. And then that bleeds over into other areas of your life and you start saying, I never thought that would have been possible, but it was. And the reason why it is because I learned principles from those mindset challenges or from those bad mistakes in my life, like breaking my back. You learn from those things and then you apply those same lessons to the further things in your life when bad things happen and everything else. But without that frame of reference, you are unable to do that, and you cannot get frames of reference if you're not out there actually living life. At the end of every single one of my videos, when I say go out and do something amazing in your lives, I am not just saying that to stroke your ego. I am saying that as a serious challenge. Go out and do something great today. As you guys know, I did a video probably a couple months ago about doorknobs and how doorknobs can change your life, and how every single day when I leave the house, I touch the doorknob and I think to myself, you're not going to come back through this door the same person as you were when you left. I'll just link that video above so you guys check that out if you want, but that is the basic idea, and that is just about challenging yourself and choosing to be better every single day. Discipline, purpose, finding these things in your life will make you much happier. And if you are truly living your life in a way where you're trying to do something great, you're going to make lots of mistakes. You're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. You're going to do amazing things. You're going to have really high highs and really low lows, but you know what? You're going to have a frame of reference and you're going to have plenty of stories to tell people later when you grow up. You're going to have a bunch of scars, but it is what it is. You're going to have an interesting life rather than a life that wasn't really lived. It was just survived, sitting on your couch, playing video games or watching TV. If there is one thing that this generation needs, it is less people watching other people doing things and actually getting off their butts and doing things themselves. Write that down. And then the third thing that I mentioned was thinking of myself like a victim. And like I said at the beginning, I truly do not believe that there are any victims in this life whatsoever. There are people who have been victimized. Do not get me wrong. If you have had a horrible thing in your life happen and someone else did it to you out of malicious intent, trust me, you were victimized. There is no doubt about it. And I wish that that would not have happened to you. I wish that we lived in a better world where people treated people better, but they don't. That is just the reality. However, there's a difference between being victimized. Everyone has been victimized at some point in their life, and being a victim. Victims are people who choose to hang on to that one instance in their life, and they let that one instance in their life define everything else. So somebody may have had a rough childhood, and then that becomes every single reason for why they're screwing up their life now. That is being a victim. Victims have absolutely no place in success. Victims have no place with happiness. Victims have no place in anywhere where they are not controlling their attitude or their effort. They are not creating purpose. They are not creating good things in their life. They are just focusing on that bad thing, and they're letting it define their next steps, their next thoughts, their next emotions, their next relationships. Those types of things will put you in a grave early, and you need to get rid of that as soon as possible. Get that negativity out of your life. You need to stay positive, and the only way you can do that is by not seeing yourself as a victim and choosing to take responsibility for everything that has happened in your life. Now, I'm not saying that if your uncle did something terrible to you 20 years ago, that that was your fault. I'm not saying that whatsoever. I would never, ever, ever say that. But what I am saying is if something happened 20 years ago and it's still affecting you today, that's your fault. You've had 20 years of your life to continually work through this. There are amazing therapists, there are amazing counselors. There's all kinds of people out there that can help you through that hard stage of your life. But instead you chose to continually just let it define you and stop you from living the life that you were supposed to live. If something horrible happens to you, no matter whether it be you got a flat tire on the way to work, you spilled coffee on your shirt, or something horrendous happened to you as a child, what you do after that event happened is 100% up to you. You are not a slave to your past. You are not who someone else defined you to be. You are exactly who you are every single day, who you choose to wake up and become and go to bed. You have that control of that 24 hours of your attitude and your effort. You have a choice. You can either choose to live back with all the horrible things that have happened to you and continually look at those things, look at things that you don't have, rather than think of the things that you do have. Focus on the positive things in your life. Focus on setting challenges for yourself, becoming better, doing those things. And that is not something that a victim is willing to do. Just don't treat yourself like a victim. It doesn't help anything. And if you're wondering if you treat yourself like a victim, the answer is yes. Yes, you absolutely do. We all do. Anytime something bad happens in my life, I still look at it, I'm like, oh, poor me, I didn't deserve that. Number one, that's not necessarily true. And number two, this goes back to earning it every single day. If I wake up in the morning and I say I'm a victim, I have a choice. I have 24 hours out of that day to get that thought out of my head and start doing positive things in my life. And either I can stay in that funk and just be angry and bitter and screaming at people and kicking the dog or whatever people do, or I can choose to be better. I can choose to be the best version of myself, and the only way to do that is by taking control over the situation. So next time that you think, am I being a victim about this? Here's what I want you to do. Take a story, any story. Typically the end result is not good. So let's just take, for example, your last PR that you missed. All right. So if you look at the last PR you missed, I want you to tell that story out loud to yourself, to your camera, to anyone who will listen. All right. Throw it out there. Tell exactly like, oh, well, the night before I didn't get good sleep because my car broke down and my girlfriend cut me up late and my mom was mad at me and I had a test to do and my boss, whatever, blah, 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 blah. Give all the excuses of why you didn't get that PR. Go off. Feel really good about yourself. Get into that horrible mental cycle of just tearing everything down and treating yourself completely like a victim. It is everyone else's fault. Everyone else's fault besides yours. Now, tell that same exact story, but every single time that something went wrong, take responsibility for it. Yeah, I didn't get enough sleep, but it was because I stayed up and I was watching Game of Thrones instead of, you know, getting to bed at a decent time. If I'm completely honest with myself, I missed a lot of training sessions because I had other things going on and I chose those other things over my training sessions. If we're being completely honest with yourself, I haven't done all my assistance work. I haven't done my recovery stuff. My diet hasn't been completely on point. When you actually stop and you start taking full responsibility for the outcome of your actions, the world changes. and you can start becoming the best version of yourself because you start realizing that you have a lot more control over the situation than you thought you did. If something terrible happens, you can either blame the rest of the world or you can blame yourself and try to fix it. But I can tell you one thing, if you tell someone else that they're wrong, there is no chance in the world that that person is going to work on fixing it. The only person who's interested in becoming the best version of themselves is going to be you, and the only way that you can do that is by taking responsibilities and ownership for what you have done. For both good and bad things in your life, if you work super hard for something, an amazing result happened, that's your fault. However, if you didn't do the things that you were supposed to do and a bad result happened, that's your fault too. Stop blaming the universe. It's got enough on its plate. It doesn't need your petty little problems on top of it. Speaking of which, if you are a person who starts a conversation with complaints, there is very few people in the life who are actually living their lives, positive lives like this, who are actually trying to do things, take full responsibility for their actions. If you start telling a story and I say, hey man, what's up? My name is Brian. And you're like, hey, what's going on, man? And the next thing that comes out of your mouth is a complaint. You can pretty much guarantee that my brain just went tick. I no longer am listening to a word that you say, because the truth of the matter is, guys, it doesn't matter how much you complain. It doesn't matter how much you like to come into work and tell them about how hard your time was. Everyone likes to pretend like their situation is the hardest situation ever, and no one's could ever be any worse, and no one understands your personal situation, blah, blah, blah. Here's the deal, people. You are not special. There is nothing special about you. Your mom lied. All that you doing by saying all this stuff and complaining about the easy things in your life, how they went wrong, you complaining like that, for people like myself, all that it does is make me turn you off. I have absolutely no interest in talking to anyone who is doing nothing but complaining to me. I don't care about your problems. I have plenty of problems of my own. I don't need to hear about yours. I may have a little bit of empathy and I might feel a little bit bad for you, but no one cares, man. No one cares. All that you're doing is showing your weakness by showing your hand and being like, I'm so sad. This happened to me, blah, blah, blah. This isn't going well. I deserve more. You are not entitled. You are not special. Nothing is owed to you. You need to earn it every single day. And that is so empowering once you understand it. It is not a negative message. It is a super powerful, positive message. You have control over your happiness. And the only reason why you are not happy is because you are choosing not to be. So if you're a young man, go get a job that you hate and keep it for 6 months for no other reason than go have a frame of reference for something that you don't want to do. There's nothing worse in the world than a person who complains about their situation but does nothing to change it. If you are a reasonably aged individual and you are just living off of mommy and daddy's money and you refuse to get a job because it's not the job that you want, lose my number. If you ask every single person in the world if their first job was their dream job, no one is going to tell you yes, but they needed that experience in order to get them to the next step, to the next step, to the next step, so that eventually they could live the job of their dreams. You are not owed a job of your dreams. You need to go out there and get it. And the first step is typically doing something that you absolutely hate, like cleaning bathrooms or sweeping floors or doing whatever it is that you really, really don't want to do, but you need to humble yourself, gain some character, gain some life experience, and go get after that. Plus, it's going to give you a point of reference, which was my point number 2, so that you can look back after another job and be like, yeah, this job isn't much fun, but it wasn't as bad as that job. And at the end of the day, it's all about making enough money to come home and pay for the things that you want to do that are truly important in your life. Go get a job, man. Stop pretending like you're special. Go out, travel, do things outside of your comfort zone. Have no idea how to get to where you're going and set off in that direction. Anyway, get into trouble. Get yourself out of trouble. If you get into trouble, do not go looking for a friend or family or your parents or anyone to come bail you out. Get your own self out of trouble, because that is part of being a warrior. You need to figure out how to do that, but go out, gain some life experience, see how the other world lives. I tell you what, I would not have even thought about the clean drinking water unless I had been to so many places in my life where people live in their own, basically, bathrooms and filth and need to drink that water and see that and live in cardboard boxes and do things like that every single day. You have no idea how blessed and how wonderful your life truly is until you see other things, but you can't see other things if you're so afraid to leave your driveway that you don't go out there and experience them. And the final thing that I want to mention is stop focusing on what you don't have, focus on what you do have, focus on the positive things in your life, not just the negative things that aren't there. You don't have the money you have, or you don't have the job you have, or the car you have, or whatever. All those things do not matter. Trust me, as an older man, I can tell you, none of those things bring happiness. Plus, if you guys are just going to sit around and focus on the things that you do not have and just think about what you want and how these things are going to make you happy and all of that, trust me, they are not. And stop talking about the things that you don't have. Stop complaining, stop whining, because no one cares. No one is feeling sorry for you. What 99% of those people are doing when you start doing that is turning you off or just going, man, I wish this person would stop speaking to me because I don't need someone just spouting negativity into my ear the whole time. When somebody comes up and starts talking to me like that, I literally shut them down and I look at them differently. I no longer see that person as like a person who's truly getting after. I look at that person like they're treating themselves as a victim, and I lose respect. Anyway, guys, that is all that I have for you today. If you guys would, please leave me some questions down in the comment section down below that I can kind of riff on a little bit more than other things. I really enjoy doing these types of videos where I just get to share some of my life experience, especially with some of you younger guys or maybe even some of you older guys. And trust me, guys, I learn as much from you as you learn from me. I am just trying to get through this life, and I'm just trying to share with you guys some of the things that were speed bumps for me and things that I did not do so well, and I'm trying to share them with you so that hopefully you guys don't make the same mistakes that I do, so you can get to where you want to be a lot faster than I did. I know sometimes I get excited and I sound angry and I sound like I'm blaming people. That's not what I'm trying to do, people. I just get excited. It's just part of who I am. I am a intense individual, but I do thank you guys for all of your support and every single thing that you guys are doing. Guys, if you ordered a program, it should be done. It should be out to you. Thank you so much for all of you who do that. I have a pretty cool collaboration coming up. I will be getting in a car and driving before the end of the month, so you guys will be seeing that coming up. That's going to be a really good time. Yeah, I'm still going to be doing collaborations even with my gimpy little shoulder. I'm going to do an entire video about updating you guys about what my actual protocol is for that. That'll probably come out later in the week, but guys, I thank you so much for everything you're doing, and until I see you go out and do something amazing with your lives, guys, I'm not just saying it. Be nice to each other. Keep working hard. Keep working hard. And I'll see you then.